Welcome to Life Discovery Horror Stories. I'm your host Almo. I'm here to tell you about the terrible and terrifying events of the past. Come join me in another horror story. Let's go and let's find out what happened. 10 of history's creepiest pictures and their equally disturbing backstories. From troubling images of feral child Genie Wiley to the remains of the first person to die in space, see photographs that plumb the dark side of human history. The expressionless face of a waxwork dummy. This expressionless waxwork dummy, flanked by two student nurses in training, was captured by photographer Anthony Armstrong Jones in 1968 for his book assignments. There's no ominous story behind this photo, but it's certainly one of the creepiest vintage pictures of the 20th century. Armstrong Jones, meanwhile, went on to have enormous personal and professional success. His photography captured the imagination of millions, while he himself captured the heart of Princess Margaret and became the first Earl of Snowdon after they married in 1960. Of Regina K. Walters. Truck stop killer. Robert Ben Rhodes may have killed more than 50 women while driving commercial trucks back and forth across America throughout the 1970s and 80s. But perhaps his most chilling murder is the one believed to be his last. Just before Rhodes murdered 14-year-old Regina K. Walters in an Illinois barn in early 1990, he took a series of photos of her cowering in fear as he moved in for the kill. Authorities found this photo and a collection of others like it inside Rhodes' home after he was finally caught several months later. The spontaneous combustion of Mary Reeser. On the morning of July 2, 1951 in St. Petersburg, Florida, Mary Reeser's landlady went to the old woman's apartment to deliver a telegram and noticed that her door was warm to the touch. Upon opening the door, she found Reeser almost completely reduced to a pile of ashes lying on the scorched remnants of her chair. A part of her left leg and her skull, shrunken far beyond its normal size, were all that remained. Local authorities were unable to determine any cause of the blaze, and the rest of the apartment was largely devoid of fire damage. When they sent the case to the FBI, they determined that Reeser had gone up in flames like the wick of a candle, with her own body fat steadily feeding the fire, but they too were baffled as to how the blaze started in the first place. To this day, it's widely believed that this was a case of spontaneous human combustion. The exorcism of Anneliese Michel. Anneliese Michel was a devout Catholic teenager living a normal life with her parents in Germany in the late 1960s. But then she began blacking out at school before exhibiting increasingly strange behaviors like routinely convulsing, hallucinating, eating spiders, and even drinking her own urine. Michel claimed to be possessed by the devil, and her parents soon came to the same conclusion. They ultimately subjected her to 67 exorcisms, none of which improved her condition before she died of malnutrition at age 23 in 1976, weighing just 68 pounds. 4 children for sale. This haunting photo from 1948 reveals just how much poverty can destroy a family. Mr. and Mrs. Ray Shalafu were facing eviction from their Chicago apartment at the time and desperately needed money. So, the unemployed coal truck driver and his wife opted to sell their kids. Though members of the Shalafu family have claimed that the mother was paid to stage the image, the children in fact were sold to different homes within 2 years. Worse yet, the children, Lana, 6, top left Ray 5, top right Milton 4, bottom left and Sue Ellen 2, bottom right were known to have been terribly abused by their new families thereafter. Victorian postmortem portraits. Life expectancies in Victorian England were tragically low due to the high frequency of disease and lack of proper medical treatment. And because photography was extremely expensive, most people were never able to get their portrait taken. So, when young children passed away, their parents often dressed them in their finest clothes to sit for their first portrait, creating yearly lifelike images of kids who had already been gone for days. The trophy heads of the Maori. Long before European colonizers arrived in New Zealand, the native Maori people were preserving the severed heads of the fallen. Known as mokomokai, the heads were chopped off, boiled, smoked, dried in the sun, and dipped in shark oil before being displayed or paraded around like trophies. But when the British moved in during the 1840s, they soon pillaged the mokomokai for themselves. Major General Horatio Gordon Robley featured in this creepy old picture with his collection, who served in the British Army during the New Zealand Land Wars in the 1860s, was particularly fascinated by the Maori and stole at least 35 heads for himself. The 25-year captivity of Blanche Monnier. When French authorities received an anonymous tip in 1901 that a woman was being held prisoner at an aristocrat's house in the city of Poitiers, they sent out officers to search the home. Behind the locked door of the pitch-black attic, they found a skeletal middle-aged woman lying on a straw mattress laden with her own excrement while insects and rotting food littered the floor. The room's odor was so rank that officers couldn't even continue their investigation, but they were able to learn that the 55-pound woman still clinging to life after 25 years trapped in that same room was named Blanche Monnier and that her captor was her own mother. The Ola bombing of 1998. The Ola bombing in Northern Ireland on August 15, 1998 killed 29 people and injured more than 200 bystanders. Carried out by members of the Real Irish Republican Army, it was the deadliest attack during the 3 decades-long conflict known as the Troubles, which pitted those who wanted Northern Ireland to remain unified with Great Britain against those who didn't. Arguably the most chilling photo taken during the entirety of the Troubles, this image shows a happy father and his carefree son standing next to a car in Oma that was wired with explosives and about to blow. They both died moments later. The ice mummies of the Lost Franklin expedition. Back when maritime expeditions were voyages into the complete unknown, setting out to sea was as adventurous as it was deadly. For John Hartnell of the infamous Franklin expedition of 1845, the Arctic quest to find the Northwest Passage ended in icy doom. The 134-man crew set out on 2 ships, determined to find the elusive shortcut to Asia and thereby further open up British trade. But soon after departing England in May, they were never seen again. It was only in the 1980s that an anthropologist finally found some of the buried bodies, preserved by the cold, on an icy island in the Canadian Arctic. Hartnell's twisted expression here makes for one of the creepiest images of seafaring expeditions ever taken.
That's it, my friends, and I hope I have made you happy and give me a little knowledge. If you like the content, I invite you to subscribe and hit the notification bell for new videos that I will release, and please like the video for help and support in discovering life. Thank you and God bless.